Good evening, everybody, or good afternoon. I'm Harry Kozlowski here with Lauren Fox, ready to bring you our baseball debut here on BCTV, and it is a honor to be here with you, Mr. Fox. Gorgeous day, a bit breezy, stiff wind coming out of left field. Definitely could affect some of the fly balls today.
Yeah, you figured that it would, and these two teams are used to seeing each other, although this is a Trinity team that is more mature than last year's version. Obviously, everybody is a year older than they were last year, but this Trinity team is a good one. Some new additions on the team, Hunter Henderson, and of course Tristan and Cal Lucier, who are a year older, a year better. And these two teams, what's up, Coach? Billy Chapman coming over to say hello before the game. Give me a back massage. I don't know why he's leaving now. But you have two teams that are very good, will be contending. Bedford always starts a little on the slow side. They're 3-3 right now, and Trinity's just got one loss. So this, for the Bulldogs as a home game, is a very important one, and one that is circled on the schedule as a must-win.
Yeah, the Pioneers come in with a 4-1 record, Bedford 3-3, and curiously, they are winless at home, 0-2. One on the road, so we're looking for the first home win today here at SA Field.
And they have a guy on the mound who would be a good contender to pick up that first home win. It's James Gilbert. He's a junior, headed to Elon College as a commit. He is a 2026, so that'll be in the fall of 26. And James is an intriguing prospect, throws low 90s. He'll be working with Nate Duquette back behind the dish tonight. Jack Hinton at first base, Landon Frangelo at second. Over at third, Jason Topf, and Carter Crowley around at shortstop. And Peter Suazo over in right, Aiden Farnham in center, and in left field it's I don't know right now because I can't see that far. So we'll get there in a second. Will Smith.
Left field is Will Smith, getting jiggy with it out there.
He does not have to cuss on his raps to sell records, but I do.
Speaking of Gilbert, he's had 2 appearances this year, both losses. Pitched 8 1/3 innings, 8 earned runs given up, but 7 strikeouts. And we are ready for the first pitch here. At bat is leading off. It's Ollie Service for the Pioneers. Swing, and that's hit foul to the right side.
Now, Service is one who is a familiar name to Trinity fans, although many remember his brother Jack, who was the quarterback on the football team as well. And Jack, a good baseball player in his own right.
Second pitch coming from Gilbert. That one outside, ball 1, so it count is 1-1. Service, by the way, with a .389 average, 5 at-bats, 18 hits, 7 home runs. So he's a power hitter.
And he lets that fastball go by, and the count goes to 2-1. For James Gilbert on a day like this, really the name of the game is you want to get ahead of guys and not get too deep in counts with everybody. You can get ahead because you know if you have a right-handed batter, the ball's not going to go out of the ballpark on a day like this. It's not going to go out to anywhere. So you might as well challenge guys, get them to hit the ball, and let your defense make plays.
Yeah, definitely. Anything hit the right field is going to have a hard time leaving the field, and there's ball 4, and Service gets a leadoff walk here off of Gilbert.
And for James, that's not what he was hoping for. He's working with Nate Duquette behind the plate, the sophomore, strong arm, and we would be remiss if we did not mention, conspicuous by his absence, Henry Dubois, who started a number of games behind the plate for the Bulldogs, but has since chosen to focus on golf and is one that is missed by this Bulldog squad.
Tristan Lucier at the mound. They're at the plate, number 9. Ball 1. And that one's high, but inside for strike. Count is at 1-1. Lucier, solid hitter as well. He's had, actually, I gave the stats wrong there because there's a pitch to the first base.
Yeah, I saw the same.
He didn't have 18 hits. He had 18 at-bats, 5 game appearances, 7 hits, no home runs. Now, Lucier, 18 at-bats. He's had 6 hits, no home runs, 3 RBIs. Pitch outside, ball 2, 2-1 the count.
Yeah, 7 home runs would have probably gotten him a phone call from a Major League scout at this point in the season.
Gilbert delivers that one, solidly hit the center field. And Farnham catches up with it, and we get the first out of the game.
I tell you what, Aiden Farnham in center field going a long way to his left into the gap to make that play, and it was a good piece of hitting and a ball that was actually well struck by Lucier, but Farnham going a long way to get that ball and showing a lot of confidence out there in the outfield. We've seen Aiden as a pitcher over the years playing some outfield, and he is one who kind of falls into that Charlie Cariello mold of a little greener on the baseball side, but put in that hard work and consequently starting in center field for the Bulldogs this senior year.
Now here's the DH for the Pioneers, Logan Whitney, number 13. He takes ball 1 and a pitch to first base, not in time. Whitney, a .294 hitter, 5 hits, 5 RBIs on the season so far. And that's high for ball 2, solid gust there. You can hear that on our microphones.
I'm sitting there feeling the pain for Bill Jennings, who's holding the camera steady while it's blowing right back in his face, but doing an admirable job. Now, you said we had a field camera right now, correct?
That is correct. That's a new addition here to our baseball coverage on BCTV. We have a remote camera in center field, so you're getting the battery perspective, the pitcher to the plate. Ball low is for ball 3, 3-0. So a little more like what you're used to on Nesson. Seeing that pitcher and batter shot, and then his camera will take care of all the action shots. That's a high inside for a strike. 3-1.
The camera set up is shaking.
Oh, there it is. It is shaking because of the wind. That one hit roller on the ground to top at third base. His throw over to Hinton at first is in time, and that'll be out number 2, 5-3 in my scorebook, because I know you're not keeping one at home.
So 2 down for the Pioneers, and Tristan Hasselbeck coming up, second baseman, number 12, and that ground ball advances Service to second base on the fielder's choice. Gilbert in for strike, takes the lead here 0-1.
Gilbert only his second first pitch strike. Granted, we're still early in this game, 4 batters, but you want to really pound that zone upwards of 75%, and he has been struggling to find it in the early going as he misses low. Count now evens 1-1 on Hasselbeck. It is a picture-perfect day out here.
Other than the wind.
Sure, yeah.
Wind, it's calm right now, but it gets vicious at times. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
This is always a great week of the year for high school players, because you get the feeling of playing in college or being a pro ball player where you don't have any other schoolwork. You can go to the gym, you can sleep in, you can eat wherever you want, and just play baseball every day, as that one is fouled off into the forest to our left on the right side. Graveyard for baseballs, and the count holds on 1-2.
One note for Andrew Fenn back in the studio. We will run our sponsors here between innings as soon as this is over. Our broadcasts are being underwritten.
Runner going, that one gets all the way to the screen, and rounding third, coming home, sliding in head first and safe is Ollie Service, who comes all the way around from second base. And well, you may be able to see it, but there is a lot of real estate back behind home plate, and that fastball from Gilbert down and away just to Duquette's right, unable to shift over and block it, and because Service was off with the pitch, he was able to score head first, and that gives the Pioneers a 1-0 lead.
It looked like a pretty close play at the plate from our perspective. The ball got to the plate almost simultaneously, but Service able to get his hand on the plate in time.
I believe
it is
Bill Jennings, it's 3-2. And that one fouled off, and the count hangs on there.
That is still Tristan Hasselbeck at the plate. Like I said, count full, 3-2.
And
in the dirt.
And that'll be ball 4. Pitch number 20 there for Gilbert. So a heavy load here in the first inning for James. And that we must have gotten an extra ball somewhere in there. So, yes,
yeah, it's 2 and 2
it is now 3 and 2. Or 2 and 2, you said.
Scoreboard says 2 and 2.
Right. We'll trust that for a change.
Contact made to short, bobbled, and that bobble is the difference right there, getting it to first base. Hasselbeck is safe, so Trinity with another runner on base with 2 outs and a 1-0 lead.
Somewhat routine of a play to Carter Crowley, and had every opportunity to make that play. He just kind of took his eye off the ball for a split second.
Would you score that as an error?
That is an E6 all day. Sorry, Carter. And so now James Gilbert, his meter is running. These are what I would like to call unearned pitches, pitches that a pitcher would not have to throw if not for a miscue in the infield. And it's the kind of thing, you make a couple of those over the course of a game, it adds up.
Crowley hits the batter.
Hunter Henderson wears that one on the ribs, and now Gilbert in a little bit of heat right now. And to Andrew Fenn's question, no, they do not run Game Changer live from this field because of internet connectivity issues.
So the Bulldogs were on the verge of getting out of this inning. Instead, a wild pitch scores Ollie Service, and a hit batsman puts two Trinity Pioneers on the bases. And now you've got Nolan Levine, third baseman, number 11. 250 hitter, 4 hits at 16 at-bats, 6 RBIs. That one fouled back. 0-2.
So Gilbert's way ahead, but he's got to find a way to punch out Levine here, end this inning, and let the Bulldogs have a chance with the sticks. They trail 1-0 here in the top half of the second, or top half of the first, I should say. That pitch fastball misses up. That's the kind of pitch that you're fine with missing there in case you get a guy to swing at it. He's not going to do any damage with a pitch at the eyes.
Throw to second is missed out into the outfield, but Farnham at the ready, able to keep Hasselbeck at bay at second base. 1-0 Pioneers. Top of the first. Gilbert delivers high. 2-2.
So for James now, 25 pitches here in the first inning. And he's still got to deal with the batter, Nolan Levine. Sets, the 2-2 comes. That one hit on a line right back at Gilbert. Does a little bit of work to help himself out, and that'll end things here in the top half of the first inning. But Trinity gets one across. It's the Pioneers 1 and the Bulldogs coming up.
And we'll be right back after these messages.
BCTV and WBNH thank our underwriters. Primary Bank, New Hampshire's bank for business. PrimaryBankNH.com. The Wicks Insurance Group, serving New Hampshire and the Bedford community with auto, home, life, and business insurance since 1984. TheWicksInsuranceGroup.com. Interim Healthcare of Manchester, personalizing care to help meet your unique health needs. InterimHealthcare.com. Nelson Real Estate of New Hampshire, your local brokerage boutique. Relationships built on trust. MrsNelsonsNeighborhood.com. Great New Hampshire restaurants. Food tastes better with family. Tbones.com or Copperdoor.com.
And we're back for more baseball action. Bottom of the first here. Bulldogs trailing 1-0. Quick reminder, tomorrow we've got boys lacrosse. These are always big games against Bishop Girton. Big rivalry with the Bulldogs. Tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. from BHS Stadium. And you'll be able to see that on BCTV. And Corey Munster-Tiger will be calling that for you. Make sure you tune in.
I'm glad there's somebody who can talk about lacrosse, because that person is not me. Although I'd go out and hang out with Corey just for the sake of being able to hang out with him. But
yeah, he's a fun guy to have.
He's a great dude, excellent skier, and but lacrosse is definitely his purview.
Yeah, same here. When I'm in the studio, that means I couldn't find anybody else. and I'm just there for comic relief.
I understand that you get a point if the ball goes in the net, and really that's about the extent of my knowledge of the game.
And you can abuse people with the stick. You can just...
You can't do that in baseball? Come on.
Do that in hockey, especially in the playoffs. I don't know how much of the Stanley Cup playoffs you've been watching, but the referees definitely let a lot more go in the playoffs.
What's your feeling on that?
Oh, about, yeah, I don't want the officials getting involved. I mean, you know, it's playoffs. Playing for real. Okay, here we go. Bedford, leadoff batter. Shortstop Carter Crowley.
So you got Carter hitting 250 to start things off. Pitch up and away, misses from Mason Ellison. And Carter coming off a phenomenal season last year, but I will say this. Last season, he did start a bit slow. So for those who look at it and say, wait a second, this kid was an all-state player last year, where are the numbers? If you were to look at roughly this point in the season, you'd be seeing about the same thing out of Carter. It was about this time of year that all of a sudden he just got hot. And for the Bulldogs, that came at an appropriate time, led them into a postseason run. And they're looking for the same thing. Carter's headed to Holy Cross in the fall, play baseball for the Crusaders, and he draws a 4-pitch walk from Mason Ellison, and that'll bring up the second baseman, Landon Frangelo.
Frangelo, 174. He's had 23 at-bats, just 4 hits, 2 RBIs.
So an interesting note on Frangelo. He was a JV player through last year. Hit the cover off the ball playing JV, and for the first time Billy Chapman can remember, they held voting for captains, and a player that had not seen any time on varsity was elected as a captain, and that was Frangelo. So the 6th consecutive ball thrown by Ellison makes it 2-0 on Landon, but that's a testament to what the other players on the team think of his work ethic, his attitude, and I can say it having coached him. He is a phenomenal kid, and I've coached him probably since he was 6th, 7th grade, on and off. To say that his development has been impressive would be a complete understatement.
Yeah, it's quite an honor to be elected captain, especially for somebody who's new to the squad. 7 straight balls thrown by Mason Ellison. Let's see if he can make it 8.
And
that goes away. That's out to the backfield, out behind the home plate, and players will advance. Actually, that was ball 4 anyway. So the hustle was unnecessary.
Crowley took off. He was thinking he might have a shot at third base, but the catcher, Hunter Henderson, got back there fairly quickly, but immediately got to that turn at second and looked over at Billy Chapman, and Billy's not about to make the first out at third base, particularly.
So how do we score that? Based on balls or wild pitch?
That's just a walk. That's just a walk.
Okay,
but
so two bases on balls.
In Billy's case, you don't want to give them an out, run into an out, when you have a pitcher who hasn't been able to find the zone yet, and you have James Gilbert who can do a little bit of damage with the lumber coming up. James?
Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
8 for 20, so that is 400 if you don't want to do the math yourself. 5 runs batted in the early going.
Yep, 8 hits on the year. Batting right. Let's see if Ellison can find the strike zone. Not yet.
I feel like we're Bob Uecker and ball 4, ball 8, ball 12. Although I think the Bulldogs want to swing the bat, and I think Ellison would love to see strikes, throw some ground balls. That one misses up and away, ball 10.
Oh, if Ellison can't find the strike zone, I'd be happy to just let him keep trying.
Yeah, the guys want to swing the stick, and for his mental well-being, I would prefer for him to throw strikes.
Hunter Henderson to the mound to give Mason Ellison a little bit of encouragement there. What are we up to now? Is it 10?
That's 10. So
10 pitches, 10 balls.
Henderson is a new face to this Trinity team. Played at Campbell last year. Was a first-team All-State Division III honoree, and a really good get for this Trinity team. And
finally, the strike.
Henderson said the right thing. And Ellison pounds the zone. Count out 2-1 on Gilbert. And that one up and away, all the way to the backstop. Henderson is getting his steps in, going out to the mound to talk to the pitcher, and then back to the backstop to field wild pitches. But in this case, both runners move up 90 feet, and the Bulldogs have runners on second and third, trailing 1-0, and trying to tie this or take the lead here in the bottom of the first.
Yeah, Bedford set up here to try to take the lead back here. No outs, runners in scoring position. All on the arm of Mason Ellison. And that's in for a strike 3-2 full count. And we have yet to have a proper hit in the game.
Yes.
We had an error on the Bulldogs. Swing and a miss strikeout there for Jimmy Gilbert, giving the Pioneers their first out here. 1 down, 2 on base. And now it is time for Nate Duquette, catcher. .412 hitter. He's got the best average on the Bulldogs team. 17 at-bats, 7 hits, no RBIs though.
Nate's seeing some action here as a sophomore. Power bat, middle of the order guy. This time now wears it off his left elbow, and looked like it hit him on the elbow.
Yeah, it did.
He's certainly acting like it did, but is he going to go full Albert Bell mode and stay in? Or did they say that he was hanging over the plate? But yeah, from our angle, it certainly looked like it got him in the elbow, and he acted that way.
And they're giving him a strike for his trouble.
Apparently he was hanging over. So the count 0-1, and the 0-1, he got sorted, tried to check his swing, couldn't. The ball in the dirt gets away from the catcher Henderson, but not far enough to allow Crowley to score, and the count now 0-2 on Duquette.
Yeah, for a while there, nobody knew where the ball was, but the runner stayed home, not attempting to score. Only 1 out here. I think Coach Chapman wants to wait for a better opportunity to bring those 2 runners home. A solid hit.
Crowley runs well, but it didn't get far enough away to send him unless he got an amazing read on it. But
count is 0-2. Timeout called.
Yeah, I was wondering what was going to give there. Ellison was standing on the mound, holding the ball, taking an extraordinarily long amount of time, and Duquette finally got fed up, asked for time, and tried to regain control of this at-bat.
No pitch clock here at NHIAA. Way outside. 1-2.
I had people tell me the last couple of years that they thought there could be a pitch clock in high school ball. And while I don't disagree with it, the amount of technology investment that would be required and then personnel that would be required, having seen it at the major league level, it's not easy to implement. The 1-2, that time he got Duquette, and you can't really argue with that one. It got him right on his tailbone, and Nate will jog down to first base.
That was a kidney rattler, and that was a...
I've never heard that, but I like it.
That was kind of a changeup, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
I think he took something off the ball, and maybe it slipped out of his hand.
Looked like a curveball that he just didn't get on top of, and it stayed in on the batter. Duquette got him in the backside. Now that'll give Jack Hinton an opportunity to step in, cash in some runs. Hinton hitting .313 in the early going in his senior campaign before he heads off to St. A's.
And the hit is, or the swing, foul behind the plate. Bases are loaded, 1 out.
Sounded like Jack's swinging wood. It looks like he's swinging wood. Need confirmation on that. We'll get that in between innings. 0-1 to Jack, down in the dirt, blocked by Henderson. Couldn't find it for a second, but it was at his feet, and the count now 1-1. Ellison, 20 pitches for him here in the bottom of the first inning. Bases full of Bulldogs here with 1 out in the bottom of the first.
That was high. 2-1 now the count. 1 out. Pioneers lead 1-0.
For Ellison, 6 strikes, 15 balls. Two and one, misses upstairs.
Now the count goes to 3-1. So Hinton's got a free swing here if he wants it. But he might just try to let Ellison walk in a run. And that's what happens. So everybody advances, and Carter Crowley, the leadoff walk, comes home, ties the game at 1 here in the bottom of the first.
For Ellison, and as Matt Bouchard heads out to relieve him of his duties, I don't quite think that this is what he was envisioning his Wednesday was going to look like, but he is done after just 1/3 of an inning.
Trying to check my notes here. I think I know who's the long reliever here. No, I do not have that. I do have it for the Bulldogs, though.
We'll get it soon. We'll get it soon enough. His number is 18, and we will grab his name for you in 1 second.
Number 18 is Brady Soroy.
There you go.
So in the meantime, while Mr. Soroy warms up his arm, let's give you a quick update on what's coming up here sports-wise on BC TV. As I mentioned before, we've got boys lacrosse tomorrow afternoon, 5:30, against the Bishop Girton Cardinals. Always a great contest, big rivalry game here for the Bulldogs. Girls lacrosse follows against the Cardinals as well. That'll be on Friday at 2 p.m. I'm sorry, Friday the 2nd of May, 1 p.m. start, and that broadcast is going to be courtesy of Nashua ETV because they're playing down at Stellos. Are they playing at Stellos? Did they replace the field? Has that been, did that happen yet?
That I don't know.
Now, wherever they're playing it down in Nashua, so there you go. Our next baseball broadcast is coming up on Wednesday, May 14th at 4:30 against the Salem Blue Devils.
It's mind-blowing that May is tomorrow. It feels like January took about 6 months to happen. And since then, the calendar pages are just flipping at warp speed.
Well, you know, I opened the pool and put the filter in today.
Really?
Yep.
Do you have to put a filter in one of those blow-up pools?
Not a blow-up pool.
First pitch from Sir Royce to Peter Suazo, taken for a strike over the inside corner. Little
Good
bend.
start.
Good start from the standpoint of I want to start seeing balls put into play and get the defense on their toes instead of their heels. Game tied at 1 here in the bottom of the first.
That was a changeup. Soroy taking a little off. 2 strikes now, 0-2 now to Pete Suazo. He's got the bases loaded.
Peter's got the lone triple for the Bulldogs here in the early going of the season. And the 0-2, again, a curveball that Suazo cuts on and misses and hangs his head. But
yeah, he chased that one.
Difficult at bat. Not really having seen Ellison, who was primarily a fastball guy, mixing in the occasional curveball. Now you got Sir Royce, who's doing nothing except throwing the off speed. And that'll bring up the DH sophomore Evan Bruno. Evan, strong right-handed batter. And got a little bit tired of waiting, calls time. So the Bulldogs would love to cash in more than just one here in the bottom of the first. Bruno hits that one off the end of the bat. Roller to the second baseman, over to first in time for out number 3 here in the bottom of the first. The Bulldogs get one across on the strength of a bases loaded walk to Jack Hinton, but strand 3, and we are through 1 tied at 1. Are we staying here? Are we signing off?
No, we'll take a little break here. We'll be back in time for the second inning. You're watching Bedford baseball on BCTV.
Game tied at 1. A strangely long first inning, about 25 minutes to get that first frame done, and with all that, we only have 1 run apiece.
And a little frustrating too when you had the bases loaded with no outs. Yeah, no. If it was loaded with 1 out, and you only really come away with 1 run, you really kind of feel like a wasted opportunity. Still, no hits in this game. Everything has been hit batsmen and bases on balls. Another strike thrown there. Count is full of 3-2.
Loose here, left-handed batter. This roster full of loose heres. There are 3 of them.
That one outside. It's a walk.
I think that actually got him. So you wonder at what point what the wind has on the pitchers. It can definitely get into your head when you're out there, but you just got to stick to what you can actually control. Get the ball put in play and let your defense do the work.
Shortstop Connor Hurley at the plate now. And that pitch gets away. Cal Lucier to second. Recovered there by Nate Duquette. But another wild pitch advances the base runner. Or pass ball, I'm not sure which one that would be. It did hit Duquette on the glove.
If it hit the ground, it's going to be a wild pitch. I did not see when it happened, so.
And we can't quite see the ground from our perspective here. We got the fence in the way. That's a high pitch. 2-0.
So Gilbert at this point, 13 strikes, 21 balls, and pitching coach Adam Perkins will run out in nearly a dead sprint. Saw something he didn't like and will course correct on James Gilbert.
Bulldogs have been streaky this year. They started out with a win against Memorial 7-1, lost their next 3 by significant margins, 9-4, 7-1, 9-2, but then got back on the winning streak here with 2 wins, one against BG back on the 23rd, 7-5, and then a 7-0 shutout win from Concord at Concord. Jack Hinton was the winning pitcher in that one. 7 different hitters notching a hit in that game against Concord. So the Bulldogs at 3-3 here, trying to get above the Mendoza line here with a win here today. First one at home, if they can do it.
Dogs only gave up 2 hits in that game too, and both to the same player. So one guy had solved the puzzle. Otherwise, it was perfect. That one he squared the bunt, did Connor Hurley, and the pitch misses in as everybody crashes, and the count now 3-0 on Hurley. Rough start for Gilbert. No action in the bullpen yet. And the 3-0 taken outside ball 4. And now runners on first and second. And that'll bring up the number 9 batter, Mason Duvall.
And the wild pitch pretty much negated there as Lucier stays at second. Hurley gets on the base, and like you said, Duvall, center fielder. Coming up to the plate, Duvall trying to get my notes here. As you can hear, they're flapping in the breeze. Just 1 hit. He's an 071 hitter. Definitely earned his 9th spot on the hitting on the in the batting order.
It is in the early going, and one thing that I think we all know about this sort of stuff is if you start off and let's say you're Carter Crowley, you're hitting 250, 4 for 16, you have a 4 for 4 day, all of a sudden you're a 400 hitter. So it's double jeopardy. The scores can really change. And that one misses up to Duvall, and the count 1-0 on him.
Pioneers on first and second. No outs. That one's a strike. 1-1. Gilbert needs a quick inning here just so he doesn't burn out his arm.
I was just going to say, wouldn't be surprised to see a bunt, but squaring and pulling back is Duvall, and that makes the count 2-1 as the pitch misses outside. Third baseman Jason Toff was getting a read on it. Jack Hinton was crashing, and Frangelo was coming over to first. The Bulldogs just want to get out here as that one is bunted right back to the pitcher. Gilbert takes his time over to first base, and the throw down and away from Frangelo, and it's going to be an error on Gilbert on that throw. He had ample time to make that throw and kind of overthought things. So that one will go down as a sacrifice by Duvall and an E1 that allows him to reach first base.
And that loads the bases with no outs here for the Pioneers, top of the second, and all tied up at 1 apiece, and we're at the top of the order now. Ollie Service, who scored that first run, fouls it back, 0-1.
That one, not a particularly good bunt. Gilbert it did the job, but Gilbert theoretically could have looked somewhere else to make a play. Took the 1 out, which is what you want to do at this point in the game, and maybe overthought things just a shade too much. And the throw got away from the second baseman covering, an infield fly. Caught by Carter Crowley in the middle of the infield, but kind of a moot point. The home plate umpire had called the infield fly rule, which was in effect there with the bases loaded, and that's now the first out here in the top half of the second.
And Tristan Lucier coming up. He flied out to center at his first at-bat in the first.
So several years ago, you may remember a team from Manchester North Manchester and Hooksett. North Manchester, the Little League. And two of the stars on this team, or the team then, were Tristan Lucier and his brother Cal, both on this Trinity team.
No, a banner for that team hangs at Hooksett Town Hall in the gymnasium.
There you go.
There's the strike. 1-1. 1 out. All tied at 1.
But the moral of the story there, you don't really want to mess around with Tristan Lucier. Very good hitter, very good ball player.
Outside, 2-1.
First time up, which seems like it was about an hour ago, he skied one to left center field. Aiden Farnham went a long way to his right to catch it. Now the 2-1 misses down and away. The count now 3-1 on Lucier.
Yeah, I think the wind did Farnham a favor on that long fly ball. Kept it from going further to his right. Very dusty day here. And that is ball 4. That's going to walk in a run. So the Pioneers take the lead 2-1, 2-1. Every run in this game scored either on walks or wild pitches.
It has been a tough one in the early going. For the Bulldogs, Gilbert has now thrown 47 pitches, 18 strikes, and 29 balls. Make that 19 and 29, but regardless, not what you want to see from him here early.
And Logan Whitney fouls that one off toward us. Luckily, the fence is there. 0-2.
More luckily that it was not about 6 inches higher, because that would have given a local dentist some business. A little bit higher.
Would have tested my glove hand.
You were a goalie. You got this. 0-2 now the count. And that one taken for a called strike 3, and going palms up is Logan Whitney, thinking that that pitch wasn't close to a strike, but his opinion doesn't matter quite as much as our home plate umpire, and that'll be out number 2 here in the top half of the second.
A welcome second out. Now the Bulldogs can go to any base to get that third out here. And Hasselbeck is up. Hits it to third. Jason Topp steps on the bag and finishes it up. So after an inning and a half, 1 run walks in for the Pioneers, and they lead 2-1 going into the bottom of the second. You're watching Bedford Baseball on BCTV.
Hey.
Welcome back to SAU Field. 2-1 the Pioneers lead. We're in the bottom of the second, and Jason Topp is at the plate. Brady Suroy's pitch is high for a ball.
You know, if we call the high school stadium the Dog Pound, why don't we call this the Dog Park?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, the dog park.
It's done. Back at the dog park here.
Suroy with the changeup finds the strike zone, tied 1-1.
They agree back there. They said.
Topp, 11 at bats, 3 hits, 273 average. No RBIs yet.
This sophomore class is a very good one for the Bulldogs. You have Nate Duquette behind the plate. You have Jason Topp out here playing third base, but he can really play anywhere. Get on the mound, give you some innings. Brendan Lung, very good pitcher. So you have some guys in this class, Evan Bruno, another one, who are going to make an impact. Some already have made an impact.
2-2 the count. Swing and fouled back there by Topp. Count full 3-2.
Jason had not played much through the first several games, and with Jack Hinton playing a good amount over at first base, has found himself a home at third, and he's very reliable defensively.
And that pitch is high. Okay, so he threw it high. What happened?
It was ball 3.
The scoreboard already had three balls.
Yeah, the guys in the dugout are running that. You never know if it's going to be right. The 3-2, a curveball that misses a little bit up, a little bit in, and that'll be ball 4 to Jason to lead things off here in the bottom half of the second. The Bulldogs trailing at 2-1, and that'll bring up Will Smith, whose older brother Bowden graduated in the class of 2023, pitching at Plymouth State now, and Bo sent me video of a strikeout that he recorded in a college game several days ago. So congrats to Bowden for doing a good job on the hill for Plymouth State. Fastball down and away from Suroy. The count 1-0 on Will.
Smith hitting 375, 8 at bats, 3 hits. He's got an RBI.
Will always seems to find a way to get on base and make things happen. And in that 9 spot, Billy Chapman likes to put guys down there, not necessarily like you traditionally think of a number 9 guy, but more as a guy who's going to be there, flip the order, and set the table for the top of the order. So there's a purpose. Carter Crowley was down there. Ethan LaRochelle was down there years ago. You have guys who can really get that done without a ton of pressure hanging on their heads as Smith watches a pitch for a strike, and count now 1-1.
You can really see the difference in speed. Suroy's pitch when he's going to that curve.
He does tip it quite a bit, and you think the Bedford Bulldog players might be wise to that. Now one down and away, the count now 2-1. The expression that's currently used in the major leagues is tunneling, where you see guys with the same exact arm slot and the ball comes out and it explodes about halfway there. But at high school, you wouldn't really expect anybody except the elite guys to have mastered that art yet. A 2-1 to Will. Outside ball 3. Bulldogs chasing 1. The Pioneers scored in the first inning by way of a wild pitch, and the second by way of a bases-loaded walk. And the Bulldogs have their only run by way of a bases-loaded walk. It is a strange game, to say the least.
Yeah, still have not had a proper hit.
No, or an improper one. Will Smith
got one here.
One though.
Nope, that one chased down by Mason Duvall in center field. So Will Smith putting a lot into that, but all for naught. It's F8.
On another day, that thing will have some good carry, but on a day like this, with the wind doing what it's doing, not a shot. And that'll bring up Carter Crowley back to the top of the order for the Bulldogs with a runner on first and 1 out here in the bottom of the second.
He walked and he scored. Low. Ball one to Crowley. He's got Top at first. One down. Soroy looks at first. Now throws. Top is back quickly.
Kind of interesting too, there's a lot of foul territory over here. The Trinity right fielder did not move a muscle. And Top, with his speed, if that ball gets away, he's standing on third base.
Soroy delivers the ball, 2-0.
This field has some interesting nuances that the real estate behind home plate is one thing that you have to pay attention to, and then there's just ample foul territory on both sides. If you're an outfielder, you have to be ready to back up throws, and the right fielder not really having it right now.
A little bit of a change up there, in for a strike. 2-1 the count, 1 out. Bulldogs trail 2-1.
Now it looks like they're playing Carter to pull, but a lot of his power is to that left center field gap. And the curveball gets over the plate, strike 2, and the count evens up. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Crowley.
That one meandered over the strike zone.
Fluttered. Meandering is also good. Jason extending his lead over there at first base. And the secondary comes. Crowley hits it into left, and that'll be fielded cleanly by the left fielder Lucier, who gets it into the shortstop. But Crowley on the board, now 5 for 17 in this young season, and that'll bring up the number 2 batter, Landon Frangelo.
First hit of the game there for Crowley.
For anybody.
For anybody. Nice swing, sent the ball over the third baseman's head.
When he's locked in, he uses that left side really effectively. He reacts inside and he waits on pitches away and just drives them that direction. So hopefully that's a good sign for the Bulldogs.
Pitch high for a ball.
My comp for Carter Crowley, if we're talking major league players, is a very obscure one. The second baseman for the Phillies, Bryson Stott. If you look at Stott, he's oddly similar to Crowley.
Frangelo swings on the changeup, 1-1.
Top being kept honest at second base by Hasselback, but extending his lead a bit now. Landon got tired of waiting, calls for time, and will back out of the box. Now on a day like this, you can always use it as an excuse that you got dirt in your eye.
And the umpire takes the time to brush off home plate. Do a little housekeeping.
Shortstop Hurley now behind Top. The curveball taken for a strike, and the count now 1-2 on Frangelo.
You know, those changeups are quite accurate. It seems like everything that Soroy is throwing that he takes something off of all seem to find the strike zone.
That's his bread and butter, and he's working backwards a lot of the time, starting everybody off with the curveball, throwing the fastball kind of as the changeup more than anything else. Here comes the 1-2, the change hit high in the air to center by Frangelo. Top tags up, Duvall catches, and Top does not move. And that's out number 2, both handled effortlessly by the center fielder Duvall.
And now Jimmy Gilbert back to the plate. He was hit by a pitch. No worse for wear.
Yeah, you're right.
Soroy gets the signal from his catcher, Hunter Henderson, now delivers. And it's in for a strike.
Not quite sure how I did that, but I had transposed Gilbert and Duquette. Regardless, in my scorebook. So Bulldogs trying to equalize this game here. They trail at 2-1 here in the bottom of the second.
That's high. Gilbert wise to keep his bat at bay. 2 down, 1-1 the count here. One Bulldog in scoring position. And he chopped that, and play there by Cal Lucier at first. Ends the inning for the Bulldogs, so they leave 2 on base, no runs. Still 2-1 going into the 3rd inning. You're watching Bulldogs baseball on BCTV. We are back for the top of the 3rd. Pioneers lead 2-1. And it's Hunter Henderson at the plate. Hit by a pitch in the 1st. Takes a strike. And this one sails over our head. I thought my car was in a safe location. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Let's just say he got pretty close.
Yeah.
And that's 3 pitches and 3 strikes there for Jimmy Gilbert. Earns his 2nd K. And that brings up Nolan Levine, 3rd baseman. Flied out to shortstop in the 1st.
Be nice to see James get things dialed in a bit. At 52 pitches by my count through 2 innings, so now he's at 56, but you want to try to get as many innings out of him as you can. But those high numbers early in the game are not a ticket to getting there.
Another ball there, 2-0. We at BCTV as well as WBNH Radio would like to thank our underwriters for supporting our live broadcast. We'll tell you who they are in just a moment. Another ball, 3-0. Those underwriters include Primary Bank, the Wicks Insurance Group, Interim Healthcare of Manchester, Nelson Real Estate of New Hampshire, and great New Hampshire restaurants like T-Bones and the Copper Door. Thank you very much for your support. They make these broadcasts possible. 4 pitches and 4 balls, and that puts Levine on base.
That walk number 4 for James Gilbert. Struck out the first batter he saw this inning, Hunter Henderson, on 3 pitches, and walked Levine on 4. To this point in the game here in the top of the 3rd, each team has left 5 runners on base, so those are the kind of things that you look at and you say, man, that's going to matter later. Now, it might not, but you don't want to lose those opportunities. Both teams have left the bases loaded once.
First pitch outside, 2nd pitch in for the strike. Gilbert quickly delivers another ball, 2-1. Okay, notice that Gilbert sometimes is very quick to get that next pitch. You can see the dust being kicked up here at the dog park. Throw to first, not in time.
That was more of a throw over to keep him honest. That was definitely not James's A move. Now we'll see if Levine had any thoughts of thievery, and no, as the fastball gets over the plate, evens up the count, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Runner going, ball out of Duquette's glove behind the cutout, but it'll be a stolen base for Levine, and ball 3 on Cal Lucier. Here with 1 out in the top of the 3rd inning, the Bulldogs trailing at 2-1.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate time for that ball to pop out of Duquette's glove.
It was not going to be an easy pitch to handle. It was up and away, and that one misses away at the belt, and that'll be ball 4, walk number 5, issued by Gilbert.
So the stolen base really kind of moot here.
It was moot, but it still kind of changes the complexion of things. If you're the batter, now your approach might be a little bit different, trying to advance a runner to third or get him home. First pitch taken for a called strike by Connor Hurley, the shortstop. Hurley walked his first time up, got stranded on third base. That was back in the second, which really wasn't that long ago. We're only in the third right now. Bedford trailing at 2-1. Top at third base, playing even with the bag. I don't know that Trinity would consider giving up an out here, although we did see them squeeze last year, down a couple runs and wind up running into an out at kind of a critical situation. Pitch taken outside. Hurley checked his swing. A look down at our base umpire, who says no, he did not go, and the count goes to 2-1. Frangelo, the second baseman, swung around expecting Hurley to pull. Instead, he goes the other way, hits it high in the air down the left field line. Will Smith giving chase. And as he fully extends, as he gets right into that visitor's bullpen, can't come down with it. And a long way for Will to go on that one, and that'll even up the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, Will spared no effort trying to get to that ball. Unfortunately, couldn't quite catch up to it. So instead of an out, it's just a second strike. 2-2 at the count.
I will say, though, had Will come down with it, it would rank among the best catches the Smith family has made. Bowden made an amazing one the other year against Londonderry in a playoff game. That one hit down the left field line. Will has a hard time coming up with it, but I think the runner coming from first, Cal Lucier, was headed toward third base all the way. So Lucier into third, and on the trail, Connor Hurley into second. That'll also bring home a run in the person of Nolan Levine, and Trinity now leads at 3-1.
RBI hit there for Hurley. And Duvall now, bottom of the order, coming up here for the Pioneers, who lead 3-1.
If I was scoring that, I think I would go single E7. But I do think that the runner from first, Lucier, was motoring to third base, and I do think that the runner from second, Levine, would have scored easily on the play. So earned, unearned, the only thing you'd really consider is whether the guy from first base would have been at second. Chances are it won't matter. That one wound up getting a piece of Duvall, and he will head on down to first base. It just nicked him, but doesn't matter. And he will load the bases for the Pioneers here in the top half of the third. The Bulldogs trailing at 3-1, but they're hanging on by their fingernails.
Quick pitchers conference here. We'll see if there's a change. Nobody warming up, so I doubt there'll be a
They had somebody up.
new pitcher coming in. Nobody
who
throwing now.
Not now, though.
So the Pioneers bring up the top of the order. Ollie Service, 3 innings. He's been up 3 times already. Base on balls, slide out to second. And now he's going to try to add to that. Now Coach Chapman decides to have another conference, so 2 conferences in a row here. You can't do that. You can do that here. You can't do that in the pros, I'd imagine.
Right. You can dictate it if you're the catcher. Go out, talk to your pitcher, calm him down a little bit. And apparently Billy has seen something that he needed to discuss with the guys. So usually it's Adam Perkins heading out there for mechanical adjustments, and in this case we have the entire infield with him, so I would assume this is more of what the defensive setup's going to be, and also kind of trying to give a little bit of a pep talk to James Gilbert, who has scuffled a bit here today. Has only allowed 3 runs, but it has been an inconsistent outing.
Yeah, you can't let this one get away from them. You're close, you're at home. You want to get that win. You want to get above 500 here. And, you know, Pioneers is a pretty good team here. They come in 4-1. But you've been playing them tough so far.
First pitch to service will be pitch number 71 for James. And he just lost his left footing. Came down the mound and his left foot just sort of went out from under him. And the pitch missed down and away. The count now 1-0, and he'll try to do a little bit of repair work on the mound.
Now the coaches are calling for a balk there. It's
yeah.
And they're going to award him.
So what Gilbert did on that one, and he's now checking with the base umpire on it, but what he would have needed to do in order to make that fake would have been to clear the rubber and fake the throw over to first. In this case, all he did was basically jump step and fake the throw to first. If you don't clear the rubber, it winds up being a balk.
So another run scores. Cal Lucier comes home on that balk. It's now 4-1 Pioneers.
Kind of a trifecta of bad things for James Gilbert out there this inning. He's hit a batter, walked a batter, and balked in a run.
He had a promising start. He struck out Henderson. That one's fouled back. Count 1-1 to service.
Service hits that one hard, and it'll get through the drawn-in infield. Both runners come in to score. The throw cut off by Hinton, and Service a 2-run. Can't really tell from this angle whether it's going to be a hit or an error. I might as well say base hit, and that makes it 6-1 in favor of the Pioneers.
Still no one throwing for the Bulldogs, but another mound visit there by Coach Chapman.
And unfortunately, that's going to do it for James Gilbert today. I think it may be Peter Suazo coming in as the two of them switch gloves. And Suazo hands Gilbert his shades, so Gilbert will head out to right field. Suazo in for the Dogs. And he comes into a game that his team is trailing 6-1 here in the top half of the third inning. And one that I think James Gilbert would probably love to have back. And he'll take that little break, head on in, and grab his own outfield glove. I'm going to sign out the game has changed. Like back in the day, you would wear the same glove for everything except maybe first base. Definitely catching. Now you have guys with different leather depending on what they're doing.
Age of specialization.
A little bit different. Suazo, the senior. Good fastball, nice curveball. He's experienced out there, and he's done well so far this season for the Bulldogs. Suazo in 5 innings of work. Allowed three earned runs, and in this case, what he's really trying to do is stop the bleeding. Trinity scored first in this game by way of a wild pitch back in the top of the first. The Bulldogs answered with a bases loaded walk to Jack Hinton in the bottom of the inning to make it 1-1. And then in the second, Cal Lucier wound up scoring on a bases loaded walk issued to his brother Tristan. And here in the top half of the third inning, the Trinity Pioneers have plated 4. Connor Hurley single driving in 1, a bases loaded balk, bringing home the second, and then a 2-run single off the bat of Ollie Service. Now making things 6-1, and that's gotten us to where we are.
Suazo still taking his warm-ups, and he will be pitching to Tristan Lucier once he's ready. Those are tamarind, by the way.
I'm like, what are these mints that you're feeding me? No word of side effects or anything like that.
No.
Yeah, it'll just extend the amount of time this game is taking.
Exactly, but these are pretty good, aren't they?
Yeah, they're good.
Kind of leave a nice tingle.
Yes.
So
Make it so the mouth doesn't get dry while we're attempting to speak about baseball here. First pitch from Suazo, up and away for ball 1. Facing Tristan Lucier, who's 0 for 1 in the game, skied one to center in the first and walked in a run in the top of the second. Service goes, that one hit in the air. Farnham into the gap in left center, and instead it's Will Smith who has it go off his glove and somehow recovers in time to make the catch. But boy, was that a little bit frightening. And that one out number 2 here in the top half of the third. That one a very similar one to the one that Lucier hit his first time up into that left center field gap, and it's a tough ball hit off a lefty bat. It's kind of curling away from the center fielder. Smith called off Farnham and then almost immediately regretted it.
Throw to first. Close call there. But service back in time here. 2 outs now for the Pioneers. And it's Logan Whitney at the plate. And he gets underneath that one. Farnham in position, makes the catch. And that ends the inning, but not until the Pioneers added 4 runs. And they take a 6-1 lead here. So after 2.5 at 6-1, Pioneers over the Bulldogs. You're watching Bedford baseball on BCTV. Okay, we're back here at the dog park. Bulldogs have to find a way to climb out of a 6-1 deficit here. And Nate Duquette at the plate, struck out in the first inning, takes a ball on the first pitch by Brady Soroy. And another ball from Soroy. Count goes to 2-0. Whitney comes into this game with a .294 average. Another ball, 3-0.
Anything you're doing here, and for the Bulldogs, you got Nate Duquette at bat, you got to do one guy at a time, one batter at a time. You can't try to score 7 runs on one swing. So, and in this case, you got to find a way to get guys on base and manufacture some runs here. So Duquette will draw a walk to lead things off.
Yeah, if the pitcher obliges with 4 straight balls.
Take it.
Remember, this game started out with what, 11 straight?
10.
10 straight.
10. Mason Ellison.
Got chased out early from this game, but Soroy has been solid in relief. Now Jack Hinton at the plate. Takes the ball there. That's 5 straight. He got a base on balls in the first.
I will say this, if you like guys who just pound the zone, this game has not been for you.
And Soroy takes a little too much off that one and hits the dirt in front of the plate, 2-0. So that's 6 straight outside the strike zone.
And sometimes what you'll have is if a pitcher's got a little bit too long of a break in between innings, sometimes they can cool down just a bit much, and you wonder if that might be what happened to Soroy here.
You got to put something into that. A little too high, though. 3-0.
And you got to figure that Hinton's getting the take sign here. Just need to find a way to get guys on base, get some runs across.
Soroy might do a changeup here. Gets that one in for a strike, first one of this inning. 3-1.
This one too, even with a hitter who controls the bat as well as Jack does, you might even consider the take sign there, but no, it was Cookie right down the heart of the plate. Fouls it back, count full.
So critical pitch coming up here. Soroy gets the sign. And Hinton gets a piece of that, fouls it off toward third, stays alive with the count full.
Good at bat here for Jack, but at this point, you got to just find a way to get guys on. And the payoff pitch taken over the outside corner, strike 3 called, and that will be out number 1 here in the bottom of the third.
That was tough. Well, that brings up Peter Suazo, struck out in the first. One down here in the bottom of the third. Bulldogs trail 6-1. Soroy delivers a changeup, gets it in, strike 1.
Threw that bender over the outside corner, and it looked like it was a bit away. The catcher, Henderson, really didn't do him a ton of favors in extending for it, but regardless, got the strike call.
Good contact there into left field, and it's a base hit for Jack Hinton. I'm sorry, for Peter Suazo.
Fastball up to Peter, and he did a really good job of getting on top of that ball, driving into the right center field gap. And that is a familiar swing for Peter. He's got really quick hands.
And that advances Nate Duquette to second, so the Bulldogs now with 1 down. They've got runners at first and second, and Evan Bruno, the designated hitter, at the plate.
Bruno grounded softly to second his first time up. That was with the bases loaded back in the bottom half of the first inning. This time watches a curveball low for ball 1.
And that one lost its gas just before the plate.
Good leave. You don't want to swing at that in the dirt. Bulldogs trailing by 5. Got to start moving some runners up. That curveball misses up, and the count now 2-0 on the sophomore DH.
Bulldogs had the bases loaded in the first. Got one home on a walk, left the rest on the base. That one's a strike. Count goes to 2-1.
Fastball over the outside corner, and really for him the fastball is the changeup. Everybody gets started with the curveball, and the fastball not gonna bust a radar gun, but it's certainly a change of pace compared to the spinner. A 2-1 taken over the outside corner, and now the count 2-2. Bill Jennings saying they got to swing the stick. I don't know. I thought the ball was a little up and away, Bill. Bill Jennings, a former umpire himself, umpire of the year multiple times. Is that even a thing?
No.
Soroy's 2-2 off speed, off the outside corner, and the count runs full on Bruno, but that one may be a little too close for comfort, Harry.
You know, Bill is calling those balls and strikes while he's operating the camera.
Oh, he is. Suazo at first, Duquette at second, and Bruno hacks at a curveball and goes down swinging, out number 2 here in the bottom of the third.
So 2 strikeouts there for Brady Soroy, both in this inning, and now it's up to Jason Topp to try to bring somebody home, or at least extend this inning. Topp walked in the second.
It has been interesting to watch the game of high school advance or change over the years, where so many of these players have gotten accustomed to guys who throw hard fastballs. And what I mean when I say that is that 84, 86, that's almost hitting speed. When you get a guy who's not quite throwing that hard and is throwing off speed pitches, now they can tend to struggle a bit. It's just not something that they see as much, and that's what Soroy is really benefiting from, as his curveball gets over the outside corner. 0-2 now on Top.
Yep. Top swing of that first fastball. Got a piece of it, so technically a foul. 0-2.
2 outs here, bottom of the third. Bulldogs trail at 6-1. The 0-2 to Jason, taken away for ball 1.
Yes, Roy had the option of wasting one there, putting it outside, seeing if Top would chase it.
And I'm good with that location. That would have been a tough one for Jason to make contact with. So Roy sets, checks Duquette back at second. Now the curveball is hit in the air near us, directly in front of us. The first baseman, Cal Lucier, gives a valiant effort after it, but can't come up with it. And Jason will have another opportunity. Got that curveball, just hit it off the end of the bat. Bulldog dugout making a little bit of noise. Actually, check that. That is the Pioneer dugout that's clapping over there, making some sounds. The 1-2 upstairs, and the count of 2 balls, 2 strikes on Jason Top. Jason walked his first time up, got to second, was stranded out there. Two coming. That one hit hard to left. Diving attempt by the left fielder, and the ball is down. Coming in to score from second, Duquette. Suazo rounded second, held up, and Top's single winds up making it 6-2 in favor of the Pioneers, but got that one well. The left fielder, Tristan Lucier, did a great job coming in on the ball, diving, but just couldn't come down with it. And in the final account, he did a great job of keeping the ball in front of him.
So Top with the RBI there, 2-out RBI. Pulling the Bulldogs within 4. 6-2, bottom of the third. And I believe, is that, trying to see who that is at the plate. Is that is not Will Smith. I
think it's still Will. I think he's wearing 14, not 7.
Okay. First pitch strike to Will.
If it's not Will, yeah, somebody just yelled, "Let's go, Will." So
okay.
Yeah.
They heard us.
Yep.
Bulldogs at first and second. That's the ball. 1-1.
Beautiful day here for some baseball. A spring break matinee game, 3 o'clock our start time today. Now, we'll probably wind up getting done around the usual time that a game would get done because these innings have been glacial, but fastball over the outside corner to Will. And the count now 1-2 on Will Smith. Suazo on second, Tough on first. Bulldogs trailing 6-2 here in the bottom of the third. And the fastball over the outside corner, strike 3 called, and that'll do it for the Dogs here in the bottom of the third inning. They get 1 run on the strength of 2 hits, wind up leaving 2. We are through 3. It is now 6-2 in favor of the Trinity Pioneers. You are watching Bedford Bulldog Baseball on BCTV.
BCTV and WBNH thank our underwriters. Primary Bank, New Hampshire's bank for business. PrimaryBankNH.com. The Wicks Insurance Group, serving New Hampshire and the Bedford community with auto, home, life, and business insurance since 1984. TheWicksInsuranceGroup.com. Interim Healthcare of Manchester, personalizing care to help meet your unique health needs. InterimHealthcare.com. Nelson Real Estate of New Hampshire, your local brokerage boutique. Relationships built on trust. MrsNelsonsNeighborhood.com. Great New Hampshire restaurants. Food tastes better with family. Tbones.com or CopperDoor.com.
Welcome back to SAU Field here for the top of the 4th. Bulldogs trail 6-2 to the Trinity Pioneers. And this game is not on radio, but if it were, it would be easy to listen to. Bedford 105.1 online. Just go to bedford1051.com for our stream link. We also stream on apps like TuneIn, MyTuner, Simple Radio, and Radio Garden. Or if you have an Alexa-enabled device, just say, Alexa, play Bedford 105.1.
There's truly nothing like baseball on the radio, by the way. At least for my money.
Only if you have a good person to call it, such as yourself.
Bill Jennings is taking a picture of us right now.
Front page of the Union Leader.
There you go. He's going to put it on the front page of the Union Leader. Peter Suazo on for his first full inning, or the Bulldogs would at least hope. Suazo came on in the top half of the third, got a couple outs to end the threat. And then the Bulldogs answered with one in the bottom half of the third to make it 6-2. I think we did some of the games back in the day on radio, particularly as the teams were going down the championship hunt, 2018, 2019 time frame.
High pitch. Had a duck out of the way there. That was Hasselbeck at the mound, or at the plate. Hasselbeck hits it toward short off the glove of Crowley, and he's going to be safe. We're going to call that an E6.
That's going to be an E6. That would be one that you'd expect made with ordinary effort, unfortunately for Carter, and it's a little bugaboo that he's got with Hasselbach, because 2 of the 3 times that Hasselbach's come up, he's hit it to Carter, and it's been miscued. But
you're right.
Suazo will have the opportunity to.
That's the second error.
Recover here against Henderson. Henderson behind the plate. And in today's game, he is 0 for 1. Struck out his last time up back in the third. Was hit by a pitch, his first at bat back in the first inning. Count 0-1, taken for a strike, and you got to hand it to Peter. He's absolutely pounding the zone here in the early going. Hasselbach takes his lead away from first, being held on there by Jack Hinton. Outfield not playing particularly deep. And a fake made there by Hasselbach, does not go. The pitch misses a little bit away, and the count now 1 ball, 2 strikes on Henderson. Henderson's father, Will, coached at Nashua North for some time and was an umpire, may still be umpiring. We saw him during high school games last year, saw him on the Legion circuit as well.
Well, go to first there. That was kind of a high throw, too. Good job by Jack Hinton to pull it down.
That one in the dirt gets past Duquette, and heading into second is Hasselbach, and he'll take a wide turn but hold on right there on that wild pitch.
So Hasselbach advancing on an error and then a wild pitch, or he got on base from an error. Now you had insult to injury with the wild pitch.
So the count now 2 balls, 2 strikes on Henderson. Lanky right-handed batter, back behind the plate for the Pioneers. Suazo's 2-2, down low, ball 3. He was ahead 0-2 and has missed with the last 3 and just looking for that knockout punch. My broadcast partner here today came up to me with a hat, a Buffalo Bills hat. And
that's all I got, sorry.
I'm not the biggest Patriots fan in the world, but I want to know if you're trying to get me killed here. That one laced down the left field line, and Will Smith will come in, field it cleanly, make a throw to home, not in time to get the runner, and the throw all the way home, past the cutoff man, allows the batter Henderson to steam into second base. So Henderson an RBI single and advances to second on the throw. That'll make it 7-2 in favor of the Trinity Pioneers.
I just saw you squinting a little while ago. I thought maybe you could use the half of the brim.
Thank you. And then I got Joe Suazo coming over here telling me that my hair is bad. So I get a complex next. Fastball over the outside corner, 0-1.
7-2 now. Pioneers with 5-run lead here in the top of the 4th.
That one hit sharply to right. Gilbert fields it on a hop. Quickly gets it into the cutoff man Hinton, and now runners the corners for Trinity Pioneers. And you got to wonder at this point, they're up by 5 runs. Of course, you want to get that sixth run in, how are you going to do it? And are you going to, with a first and third, straight steal Levine, have Duquette throw down? So a little bit of strategy coming into play here as Duquette heads out in front of home plate, gives the sign to the infielders of what to expect, and we'll see what Trinity does here.
Cal Lucier coming up. Walked in the second, walked in the third, scored a run in the second, actually scored a run in the third as well. Throw to first, not in time. Now the wind picks up. Blowing Dust Devils toward home plate.
Suazo steps off, and the reason you do that there is you hang on to the ball, step off, in the hope that you might be able to get Levine to give a tell of what he was going to do. Now, Levine saw him step off and didn't show anything. That one is hit high in the air, left side, foul territory. Top will give chase, but that one's back into the forest on the third base side. And the count now 0-1 on Lucier. Lucier's been on board twice and scored twice, hit by a pitch in the second. Came around to score when his twin brother walked, and then walked in the third and scored on a balk. And for the Pioneers, that was run number 3. The runner going. Duquette makes no throw to second, instead throws down to third, trying to backpick the runner Henderson, but unable to get him. And into second with that stolen base is Levine. So the Bulldogs, trailing by 5, will pull the infield in here, trying to keep the lead at 5 and cut down the lead runner at the plate. Ball skied into the visiting bullpen, and it will fall harmlessly. And the count now 1 ball, 2 strikes on Lucier.
No outs on the Pioneers so far here in the top of the 4th.
Suazo sets, checks, deals, curveball taken over the outside corner, strike 3 called, and that'll be out number 1. And just what the doctor ordered here, a non-productive out. Bulldogs trying to stay in this game, trailing by 5. And the other thing to notice too is the runner on second base, Levine, because he's not being held on by either Crowley or Frangelo because the infield's playing in, although it looks like they've moved back slightly. Because Levine is able to get such an enormous lead, he'll score easily from second base on a single just about anywhere.
So Con Hurley is at the plate, walked in the second, scored a run in the third, benefited by an error by the right fielder. No, left fielder. Quick conference there by the Bulldogs. Now we're ready to resume play.
So Hurley at bat, 1 for 1 on the game.
Throw to third. Almost got away from Top.
It was a good talk out there too. Suazo threw over to Top to try to pick off Henderson, and Top could not locate the ball, and Landon Frangelo over at second base was letting him know the ball was at his feet.
Swing and a miss there by Hurley.
Hurley ahead of that one. Hurley 1 for 1, singled, scored, and drove in a run in the third, and walked and was stranded on third back at the second. Suazo checks the 0-1 curveball. Didn't miss by much. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hurley left-handed hitting shortstop. Suazo sets the 1-1, and that got a piece of Hurley. And Duquette will pick the ball up and get it right back to Suazo, and that'll load the bases. So no harm done at this point, but what that really allows the Bulldogs to do is pull the middle infield back, try to spin a double play up the middle. So net, not the worst thing, but it's another base runner regardless, and that'll bring on Mason Duvall, who reached base on an error back in the second after he laid down a sac bunt and was hit by a pitch in the third, came around to score. That ball to Crowley to second for one. That's all they're able to get. So the fielder's choice from Duvall results in a run batted in and now makes it 8-2 in favor of Trinity.
So Hurley out at second. Levine advances to third. Henderson comes home for the 8th run for the Pioneers. They have an 8-2 lead here with 2 outs.
And now for the Bulldogs with runners at the corners, they almost had a little bit of a breakdown as runners at the corners, and they hadn't set defensive alignment for that first and third play. And now the runner goes, a little check swing, excuse me swing almost, that goes into foul territory right in front of us. Count 0-1 on Ollie's service. The runner was going, Duvall. And so if you're the Bulldogs here, chances are with 2 outs, you're going to throw through. Wonder if we'll see a pitch out here. Suazo sets, Duvall does not go, and the pitch misses up. Count 1-1.
Service has been at the plate now every inning. Walk out at the second, flied out to second, I should say, hit a base hit in the third.
He's at the plate so much you think this was an all-you-can-eat buffet. 1-1, he's going, fastball low. Duquette pump fakes the throw down to second. The runner from third gets caught in a rundown, and that one will go from Duquette to top, back to Duquette. 2-5-2 cut stealing on Levine, and that gets the Bulldogs out of the inning, but not before Trinity plates 2 more. And we are now through 3.5. It is Trinity 8 and Bedford 2. You are watching Bedford Bulldogs baseball on BCTV.
Back to baseball here at SAU Field. Bottom of the 4th, Bulldogs trail 8-2, and at the plate, Carter Crowley takes the ball on the first pitch. He walked. Got a base hit in the second. Actually scored one of the runs for Bedford in the first. Another ball, 2-0. Brady Soroy gets a strike there. Soroy in relief of Mason Ellison, who didn't last more than an inning and a third. Another ball, 3-1 the count to Crowley.
That's where we're going down.
Bulldogs need a rally and you get some runs here. Crowley heard me, hits that one, but center fielder Mason Duvall ready for it, makes the catch, and 1 down for the Bulldogs.
They've done a decent job keeping Duvall busy. They skied 2 to him back in the second, and this is his 3rd put out of the game. And so that'll bring up Landon Frangelo, who walked back in the first and hit 1 to Duvall back in the second. Pioneers don't have anybody back of Soroyce right now, which is interesting when you have a guy who I don't think was counting on pitching a whole lot today, or maybe he was, but wound up coming into the game back in the first inning in relief of Ellison, who retired 1 batter. The 0-1 upstairs, 1-1 now.
Do you have a count on Soroy? How many pitches has he thrown already?
I will do the math.
Good contact made, and it's going to drop for a base hit. So Frangillo gets on base again, tries for 2, and gets in there. So a double by Landon Frangillo.
Where did it go?
You're looking at
I
your
was
notes
counting.
there, yeah.
Jimmy, let's go.
I can only do one thing at once.
Yeah, I think, actually I kind of took my eye off it a little bit too. I think that there was a little bit of trouble in the outfield because it
All
looked
right.
like a fairly clean ball to field, so he must have bobbled it enough for Frangillo to decide to go for two.
We'll stick with a double, for lack of anything better.
Wasn't even an attempt to throw, so.
I do not have anything even remotely impersonating real stats. So the number of pitches right now for Sorois is 54 is what he's standing at.
Now Jimmy Gilbert at the plate. Count on him as 1-0. Nice hit there down the right field line, but that goes foul.
Laced it down the right field line.
Would have scored Frangillo if it was in.
He got into that one pretty well, but unfortunately for the Bulldogs, a foul ball. They're chasing 6 right now here in the bottom of the 4th inning, and we will see if they can find a way to manufacture something with 1 out here. Throw back to second base. Nice job by the shortstop Hurley of fielding that pickoff throw on 1 hop.
Gilbert hit by a pitch, I should say, in the first. Slide out in second.
Frangillo a modest lead over at second. That pitch misses inside to Gilbert. The count 2-1 now.
2-1.
Hurley keeping Frangillo honest, but Frangillo could take a little bit more, and that one hit off the end of the bat by Gilbert, handled easily by the second baseman Hasselbach for out number 2 here in the bottom of the 4th inning. And with 2 outs and a runner on second, that'll bring up Nate Duquette, who struck out back in the first and walked and scored in the 3rd. Nate came into today's action hitting .412. That'll drop slightly. He is now 7-for-18 in the early going. First pitch upstairs, ball 1.
Wind today can't really make up its mind which way it wants to blow. Started out coming from left to right. Now it's heading the other way. There's a strike.
Off speed. And that's what we've seen from Sorois. That's been his bread and butter to this point in the game.
Timeout called.
A little game of cat and mouse there. Nate was waiting, and you could tell that he just wasn't going to have it a whole lot longer, and Sorois was not going to deliver anything to him. Part of the mental side of baseball. Frangillo being held on now only by the second baseman Hasselbach, so probably get a little bit more. Hurley is shaded over toward the hole between short and third. Curveball, outside corner, strike 2.
2 down here in the bottom of the 4th. Got Frangillo at second. Got there on a double. Trying to advance here. Strikeout looking. And that ends the inning. 1 left for the Bulldogs after 4 complete. It's 8-2 Trinity Pioneers. You're watching Bedford Baseball on BCTV.
Welcome back to SAU Field, top of the 5th inning. I wasn't sure whether Harry was going to bring it back
No, you go right ahead.
as he sprinted over to his car. Peter Suazo on for his 3rd inning of work for the Bulldogs. Came on in relief of James Gilbert back in the 3rd inning and allowed a couple in the top of the 4th. And that's gotten us to where we are right now. The Trinity Pioneers on top of the Bedford Bulldogs by the score of 8-2. Fastball misses up to Ollie Service, and the count 1-0 on Service. The inning ended on an out on the bases with Service at bat, so he steps back into the batter's box as he fouls that one back into no man's land behind home plate. The count 1-1. The Pioneers trying a first and third play, sending Mason Duvall from first and hoping that Duquette was going to throw down to second. Well, that one ripped down the third base line. Service rounds first, thinks about second. Will Smith picks it up, hits his cutoff man Crowley, and holding at first base with a leadoff single is Ollie Service.
And Service with his second hit.
It is bizarre to look at Will Smith in the outfield because I haven't seen him play outfield all that much. And he bears remarkable resemblance to his older brother. That one hit sharply in the hole into right field. Gilbert has it go right through his legs, and it'll get almost all the way to the wall. Rounding third, Service. Will they send him? The answer, yes. And he will score standing up on a single by Tristan Lucier and a two-base error by James Gilbert. And now it is 9-2 in favor of the Pioneers.
And the hits just keep on coming here for the Bulldogs.
That one eerily similar to one that happened in the playoffs back in 2022 at Portsmouth. Bases were loaded, ball hit hard to J.J. Crespo and right, and it just got under his glove, and by the time all was said and done, the bases were clear and the batter was standing on third. There's a lot of real estate out there in right field, and if you overrun one, it can be particularly tough. That'll bring up Logan Whitney, and Whitney ropes that one into center. Gilbert comes in, gloves it at the knees, and holding at third, did not tag, was Lucier, and that'll be the first out here in the top of the fifth.
Yeah, Suazo getting knocked around a little bit here in this fifth inning. I don't see anybody warming up in the Bedford bullpen, but a change of pitcher might be in the works here.
He is throwing strikes, and so give it to him for that. His curveball barely misses inside, 1-0, and the unfortunate thing for him is he gave up a run in the fourth that was unearned by way of an error at short, and then that James Gilbert fielding error that just occurred. If not for that, we'd have runners on first and second and one out right now, and a 1-1 count on Hasselbach. So he is not completely to blame for the issues. Hasselbach 0 for 3 in the game, reached base on a pair of errors and hit into a fielder's choice in the second. That fastball misses up in the count 2-1. Bulldogs trailing now 9-2 here in the top of the fifth.
You know, one thing about this season is when the Bulldogs have lost, they've been losing big. There's a strike. All their losses coming by big margins, all their wins coming by big margins, except maybe for BG. That was a 2-run win. Trying to find that elusive home win. Haven't found it yet, and it doesn't look good today.
Fastball up and the count runs full. Suazo not really taking too much time in between pitches. He's pitching like he's got a train to catch, as Vin Scully would have said back when. Gets the sign, the payoff pitch, hit in the air to left. Smith started in, now he'll go back into the corner, make the catch, tagging and scoring is Lucier. Not a whole lot Will Smith could have done on that. And a sac fly for Hasselbach makes it 10-2 in favor of Trinity with 2 outs here in the top of the fifth. You can always, whether it's baseball, softball, any game like this, you can tell if a dugout is engaged, you tend to get a little bit of an advantage, and as the curveball from Suazo ducks in over the inside corner to Hunter Henderson, who's 1 for 2 on the day. Was hit by a pitch back in the first, struck out looking, and singled in a run and scored in the fourth. But when your dugout is rocking and rolling and it's a good place to be, it's usually indicative of a team that is playing better and guys who are just locked into everything. Well,
and not a lot coming out of the Bulldogs pen right now.
Right,
sure.
It is quiet over on the on the first base side and fairly loud over on the third base side. Here comes a 1-1 fastball from Suazo. This is downstairs, and the count 2-1 now. Trinity, an experienced team, and every year they have added more experience, seemingly. The 2-1 upstairs, 3-1 now. And getting a player to transfer to you like Henderson, particularly a guy who can be a field general behind the plate, that's a really big deal. The 3-1 taken for strike 2, and the count runs full.
Henderson was already making his move to the first base. Umpire a little slow on the strike call there.
Payoff pitch coming from Suazo, and that one misses upstairs. Ball 4, and
A little delayed gratification.
Henderson will move on down to first base, and that'll bring up Nolan Levine. With 2 outs here in the top of the second, Bedford trailing by 8. Levine so far in today's game 1 for 2, lined out to James Gilbert back in the first inning to end the top of the first. Walked and scored in the third, singled in the fourth, and made the final out of that inning, attempting to steal home. The runner goes, throw down to second base is in time to get Henderson, and that will do it for Trinity here in the top of the 5th inning. But they scored 2 more, and after 4.5, it is now 10-2 in favor of the Pioneers. You are watching Bedford Bulldog Baseball on BCTV.
Back here at SAU Field, bottom of the 5th, Bulldogs have their work cut out for them, trailing 10-2. We at BCTV and WBNH would like to thank our underwriters for supporting our live sports coverage like these games. Primary Bank, the Wicks Insurance Group, Interim Healthcare of Manchester, Nelson Real Estate of New Hampshire, and great New Hampshire restaurants like T-Bones and the Copper Door. Thank you very much for your support. At the plate, Jack Hinton walked, struck out in the first and third inning. See what he does here in the 5th. Contact made into left field. Run down by Tristan Lucier, 1 down.
I think we have a defensive change for Trinity, number 3 going in at second base, but I don't have a roster. So
well, I happen to have one here. Number 3 is Chris Centurino.
All right, Centurino in, and that one rolled up the middle by Suazo. First pitch swinging, gets on base with a single for the second time. He was 1 for 2 before that. Now he's 2 for 3. Struck out in the first and singled in the third.
Did you say Centurino's at the...
Centurino's at second.
Second, okay.
And I want to say that I don't know that he's hitting in Hasselbach's spot. I heard the umpire yelling something, but unclear exactly what that was.
Throw to first.
So I guess we'll see him hit when he hits.
So I assume that Tristan Hasselbach will take a seat.
Appears that way. I did hear something about somebody hitting in the, it looks like, is there a 21 on that roster? What do you got?
No, I don't see a 21.
All right, we'll see. I don't think Henderson is the catcher anymore, is what I'm trying to say. So we will see, I guess.
There was a 2, John Herman.
Trying to pick up a jersey number, but regardless, Bulldogs trail at 10-2 here in the bottom of the 5th. Evan Bruno at bat. Takes a fastball for a strike, and the count now 2-1 on Bruno.
2-2.
2-2, I lied.
Yeah, I'm going to bet it's John Herman who is catching now for Trinity. He's the only other player with a 2 in his on his back. Three and up. They changed it now to 3-1. So I was wrong. You were right.
So Roy's 3-1. Hit sharply to the third baseman. Double clutches, throws to Centerino at second in time for one. On to first, not in time. So Bruno reaches by way of a fielder's choice. Nice job by the third baseman, Levine, coming up with that play on the backhand side. And Centerino, for a guy who just got into the game about 2 seconds ago, had a roller up the middle, barely elude him, and then got the front end of an attempted double play. So now with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th inning,
Jason Topp.
That'll bring on Jason Topp.
A walk and a hit. This is going to be a short one, but that catch is made. Tristan Lucier runs it down and right, and that should end the inning, and it does. So 1 runner left on base. There was 1 hit, 1 fielder's choice, and no runs scored by the Bulldogs. The score remains 10-2 going into the top of the 6th inning. You're watching Bedford baseball on BCTV. Back here at SAU Field, top of the 6th, Bulldogs trail 10-2 to the Trinity Pioneers. And Nolan Levine now resuming his at-bat, swings at the first pitch, sends it foul. Quick programming reminder for you. We'll be bringing you the boys lacrosse contest against the Bishop Girton Cardinals. It'll be tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. from BHS Stadium. If you can't be there live, make sure you tune in to BCTV. We'll have a call for you. Corey Munster-Tiger will be on that call. Excellent job as usual.
You're saying that in advance. The expectation is high for
Putting
Corey.
the pressure on Corey.
That one hit to right. Gilbert started in, then back into the left and catches it at the waist for out number 1 here in the top of the 6th inning.
And I think Corey likes a little pressure on him.
Corey's just fine. He's cool as a cucumber.
Get that performance up.
Cal Lucier coming to bat is 0 for 1, struck out his last time up back in the 4th, walked and scored in the 3rd, and was hit by a pitch and scored back in the 2nd. And he watches that first one over the plate, strike 1. Suazo kicks, deals the 0-1 in the dirt all the way to the backstop, no matter. And the count now 1-1.
Nobody on base to take advantage of that.
And this isn't the Atlantic League where they had opened up that rule where you could steal first base back when.
Oh. I didn't know that.
That was an interesting.
I didn't know that.
That is weird, wild stuff.
Weird wild stuff.
Yeah.
Channeling Johnny Carson here from the grave.
You know, it's funny. The University of Nebraska has this amazing commercial that they run that uses Johnny Carson talking about Nebraska, as that one is laced in the left off the bat of Cal Lucier for a 1-out single. But it is, if you're at home watching and you open up another browser tab and Google Johnny Carson, Nebraska, it is, and I haven't been to Nebraska much, but it does a really good job of selling the school. And it was a speech that Carson gave at one point a million years ago, and you say, man, we could really use somebody that could be as kind and eloquent as Johnny Carson was, where you couldn't go on that show and not laugh, and you really couldn't watch that show without finding something that was funny. There was just nothing that was. His demeanor was such that nothing was offensive. Everything was kind of fair game. The 1-0 taken high for a ball, 2-0 now the count on Connor Hurley. But again, it was a different era too. we didn't take ourselves quite as seriously. Bulldogs trailing 10-2. This has not been what Billy Chapman would have looked for, and this, unfortunately, in this April week, sometimes you have these tough games and you just kind of chalk them up to learning. But Trinity scored on a wild pitch back in the first inning, the 3-0, taken for a strike, 3-1 now on Hurley. And the Bulldogs answered with a bases-loaded walk to Jack Hinton, and both teams didn't really get it done with the bat early on. The starters didn't last long for either team. That one skied in the air to left. Will Smith hesitated, now comes in, secures it with both hands, out number 2 here in the top of the 6th. But then it was in the second, Trinity plated a run by way of a bases-loaded walk to Tristan Lucier, and then broke it open in the third. 4 runs came across. The big below, a 2-run single from Ollie Service. The Bulldogs narrowed it to 6-2 when Nate Duquette came in on a Jason Topp single. Shout out to Mr. Gums Advisory in the bottom of the 3rd inning, and the Bulldogs thought they were getting back into it, but 2 in the 4th and 2 in the 5th for the Pioneers have gotten us to where we are right now, 10-2 here in the top of the 6th.
You know, you couldn't have a Don Rickles today. Talking about different times.
No. Well,
Mr. Warren.
I sat there and watched The Hangover on the plane yesterday and said this movie could not be made in 2025, but it doesn't mean it's not funny. It's just not appropriate. Suazo sets. Here's a 1-1 to Duvall in the dirt. Count 2-1 now. I don't need a hat, Bill, but thank you. Okay. Harry gave me a Buffalo Bills hat.
Well, Bill had a non-Bills hat for their Boston Red Sox
hat. It is a Bills hat because it belongs to Bill.
Oh, well, that's true.
Yeah, I'm not
Red Sox hat.
Bill apostrophe S. That one misses up, count now 3-1, and I don't know that I'm allowed to wear Red Sox gear either. I don't know. Suazo came in relief of Gilbert back in the 3rd and has done a good job of getting the ball in play as he walks Duvall here to put runners on 1st and 2nd for the Pioneers. He's been the victim of 3 errors, or 2 errors, I should say. Bulldogs have made 3 so far on the day. And now with 2 outs in the top of the 6th, Ollie Service will come to bat for the 17th time today.
Feels like that. Actually, it's 5th. Although his streak of hitting in every inning got broken in the 4th because of that that play that interrupted his at-bat.
Harry, he did hit in the 4th. He came to bat in the 4th inning.
Well,
he just didn't finish the at-bat.
Right, he finished it in the 5th.
So Service has been to bat in every inning of the game. Walked and scored in the 1st, popped out in the 2nd, singled in 2 in the 3rd, came to bat in the 4th when they attempted to steal home, and the 3rd out was made at the plate, then singled, scored on an error by Gilbert in the 5th. And here we are in the 6th, at your service.
Quick conference there for Suazo.
Frangelo saw something he didn't like, and so Nate Duquette then popped out, went to the mound. 1-0 now the count on Ollie Service. That one skied high, left side. Duquette will have a look. Topp will give chase, but back into the forest it is. And the count now 1-1.
Yeah, Topp put an overdrive there, trying to chase that down. Unfortunately, it was out of the field of play. Otherwise, he probably could have made a play on it. No lack of effort.
Suazo's 1-1. Service swinging out of his shoes, hits it back into the forest again in the count. Now 1-2.
How many baseballs do you think are back there?
A lot, but most of them get waterlogged pretty quickly. It's, you know, there are certain areas where you can give chase. There were time periods, excuse me. That sneeze just kind of snuck up on me, man. There were time periods where certain players would engage in games to try to get the baseballs and fight with each other over who would get the ball. Bowden Smith, Caden Elmer, number of those guys, but not really seeing that level of enthusiasm running out of the dugout.
Nah, not with tick season. This is like prime tick season.
No,
I don't think you want to go
it didn't
back
matter.
there.
It didn't matter. Lyme disease, forget it. I want the baseball. And we only get so many baseballs, so the 1 and 2 misses down low. Count 2 balls, 2 strikes on service. So you better believe Billy Chapman wants the baseballs that are going back there to be back in the game. Baseballs cost money. Suazo checks, the 2-2 comes. Service is really cutting into the Bedford baseball budget here. Fouls that one out of play on the left side.
Yeah, I think we should charge the other team for all the balls they put into the forest.
It's kind of one of those, you wonder whether it might make sense to put in a huge fence down the line, but I don't really think that would do a whole lot here.
No, it wouldn't.
If it were Riley Field, they'd just be hitting them into the house with the German Shepherds.
Oh, yeah, into the street or whatever.
Right. It'd be like it'd be like the beast in the sandlot. Here comes the 2-2 curveball laced down the left field line. Will Smith giving chase, and they said foul ball. So
yeah, good thing.
Everybody
I was going to say,
it looked foul from here, but
how far Will Smith had to go outside the pole there?
Yes.
I don't think it curved that far.
It was a loud call by our home plate umpire today. We don't have today's umpires, but they've done a solid job. I'm sure that being an umpire is one of those hard jobs, and Bill Jennings knows this. You're not going to please everybody all the time, and very often you'll please nobody.
No, definitely a well-called game today. No controversial calls of any kind. Everything pretty straight up.
Suazo checks, 2-2, fastball. That one is skied on the infield, and Jack Hinton will come in, make the play in fair territory for out number 3 here in the top of the 6th inning. So Trinity gets 2 on base and winds up stranding 2. We are through 5.5. It is the Pioneers 10, the Bulldogs 2. You are watching Bedford Bulldog Baseball on BCTV.
And we are back at SAU Field for the bottom of the 6th. Bulldogs trail 10-2. And Bulldogs finally with some bullpen action. Jason Topp warming his arm.
We have a pinch hitter for the Bulldogs. I believe it is Dixon McDonald leading things off here in the bottom of the 6th inning. McDonald hitting in Will Smith's spot, and according to the lineup, Hasselback is behind the plate, but at least according to the Trinity game changer. So,
who's behind the plate?
Hasselback.
Number 12. So Hasselbeck was actually playing second base.
Yes, they did put Centurino there. I think they pulled Henderson out of the game. And I am not going to in any way speculate, as that one's taken for a strike, if there was a reason for that, but it was immediately following him being thrown out at second base. And you always kind of wonder when it is a stimulus and a response. Was the response actually a result of the stimulus? And we just don't know. Now I'm just guessing. Not to mention where we're sitting, it's hard to hear really anything. And that one taken for strike 3 called over the outside corner, and Dixon McDonald will go down looking for out number 1 here in the bottom of the 6th.
And we're back to the top of the order. Carter Crowley on the way up to the plate. He scored a run on a walk in first, base hit in second, slide out to center field in the 4th.
This time skies one down the right field line, coming in a long way to go for the right fielder, and falling like a baby bird into the glove of Ollie Service is the ball off the bat of Crowley for out number 2. I didn't see whether he was in fair or foul territory, so we're just going to say F9, and that'll be the second out here at the bottom of the 6th.
I think he was in foul territory. He's came pretty close to us.
Nice running catch, and that's a tough one too, particularly as high as he hit it.
So now Frangillo
Waves at a curveball away, 0-1 on Landon.
A walk, flied out, and a double.
And Waves at another off-speed pitch away, and now he's in a hole, 0-2. Bulldogs in a hole themselves, trailing 10-2. Angelo 1 for 2, as Harry just mentioned.
Swinging at everything like Smelt Night.
I'd rather that than watching, you know. You want to be aggressive. The 0-2 taken for strike 3 called, and I just jinxed him. And the Bulldogs go down in order for the first time today. It is actually the first time that either team has gone down in order. We are through 6 innings. It is Trinity 10 and Bedford 2. You are watching Bedford Bulldog Baseball on BCTV.
BCTV and WBNH thank our underwriters. Primary Bank, New Hampshire's bank for business. PrimaryBankNH.com. The Wicks Insurance Group, serving New Hampshire and the Bedford community with auto, home, life, and business insurance since 1984. TheWicksInsuranceGroup.com. Interim Healthcare of Manchester, personalizing care to help meet your unique health needs. InterimHealthcare.com. Nelson Real Estate of New Hampshire, your local brokerage boutique. Relationships built on trust. MrsNelsonsNeighborhood.com. Great New Hampshire restaurants. Food tastes better with family. Tbones.com or Copperdoor.com.
All right, we're back. Talking about Smelt Night.
I don't even get the reference, but we'll leave it right there. Jason Topf into the ball game to pitch for the Bulldogs.
Google Billy Crystal, Saturday Night Live, and Smelt Night.
Yes.
Find out.
Google Hernando's hideaway. You look marvelous.
It's better to look good than to feel
It's
good.
better to look good than to feel good. So yeah, here we are, top of the 7th inning. Jason Topf making his Bedford High debut on the bump. And again, I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to their advisory. They're in the same advisory at Bedford High School. I only know that because my daughter's in it with them. So
I can't believe I made a baseball reference that you didn't get.
You made an SNL reference that it's, yeah, if you had been making a Tim Kazurinsky reference, I might have gotten it, but I don't know. I was hit or miss. Those were the Eddie Murphy days too. So.
Yes. Bill, you know Smelt Night, right? Did you ever see that bit? No?
With Billy Crystal?
We'll
It was
just,
Billy Crystal.
yes,
It was one of those films. It wasn't a skit. It was one of those pre-recorded, pre-shot films about old-time baseball.
You gotta check that out.
It was about the pitcher who'd only throw strikes on Smelt Night because they wanted to get to the Smelts.
I don't even know what that means, but
Smelts, they're little fish, like sardines. They're fried.
brutal. All right, and there we go. Yes. Leading off things for Trinity here in the top of the 7th inning is a player we have not yet seen, number 16. He is batting in Tristan Lucier's spot, and that is going to be Levi Locke. Lucier in the game today, 1 for 3, singled and scored back in the 5th inning, walked and got an RBI as part of the bargain back in the 2nd. This time hits a 3-hopper to Frangelo at 2nd, moves to his left, fields it, and over to 1st in time for out number 1 here in the top of the 7th.
4-3. Haven't had too many fielding outs in this game.
No, it has been a game nearly devoid of assists. Weird. So, anyway, that one was won right there. And now Logan Whitney will come to bat. Whitney is the kid who's on the outside of the candy store looking in. Everybody else has found their way on base, scoring runs, you name it. But Whitney 0 for 4 in today's game. And reeling from a strikeout back in the 2nd inning, struck out looking and didn't like the location of that 0-2. This one taken for a strike right down Broadway, count 0-1. Every player in this Trinity lineup has scored a run with the exception of Whitney as that pitch misses. Count 1-1. Not everybody's gotten a base hit, but everybody has played a role. The 1-1. Fastball outside corner, count 0-2. Jason Topf doing a great job pounding the zone. Jason working quickly. Here comes the 1-2 curveball, hit sharply over to third. Dixon McDonald makes a nice play to get in front of the ball and throws on several hops over to first in time. So hey, it's not a beauty contest. You getting out, you getting out. That one will go down as 5-3, and nobody will remember anything that happened. Nice play.
Yeah, I mean, he bobbled it.
It was hard hit.
It was a two-hopper.
It was hard hit.
And Locke still didn't get to first base in time.
It was a hard hit ball at Dixon. He kept it in front of him and thought he had to hurry a bit more than he did, and throwing that couple hopper over to Hinton, well, he made it easier on Jack. He didn't have to dig it out. So there you go. 2 outs now here in the top of the 7th inning. I'm just going for the silver lining. Here's Tristan Hasselback. The 1-0 taken for a strike over the outside corner. Hasselback in today's game, 0 for 3. Reached on a pair of errors and scored a run back in the 4th and a sac fly in the 5th inning.
Actually, that is Connor Sturgis, number 14.
You cannot be serious. So, all right, you can close the book on Hasselback then. Sturgis at bat here, 2-1 the count on him. Tops fastball, misses away, and the count 3-1. Sturgis, a Bedford resident. His older brother Cole, as Connor swings and misses, the count runs full 3-2. His older brother Cole played baseball for years in town, and I believe went to high school at Trinity as well, and Top blows a fastball right by Connor, and he goes down on strikes for out number 3 here in the top of the 7th inning. So Jason Top works a 1-2-3 7th, and the Bulldogs will come up chasing 8 with 3 outs to get him in. So will they be able to do it? We'll let you find out here as we come to the bottom of the 7th inning. It is Trinity 10, Bedford 2. You're watching Bedford Bulldog Baseball here on BC TV.
Back here at the bottom of the 7th here at SAU Field, Bulldogs have an 8-run hill to climb to extend this. And let's see who is up.
It is a new batter in for the Dogs. Number 10, batting in James Gilbert's spot. I will furiously find the roster. Oh, Zach Papik. So Papik looks at the first pitch for a strike and checks his swing, but no matter, the pitch was a strike by location. And Papik in a hole here, 0-2.
Soroy is still out there too.
I gotta say I'm impressed at the fact that he came in with 1 out in the top of the 1st, or in the bottom of the 1st inning, and he has now thrown 5 2/3 innings of baseball and allowed just 1 run.
And he will earn the win, I assume.
He will earn the win.
Yep.
Barring the Bulldogs scoring 9 runs here, which, hey, anything's possible. Papik watches that one go by. The count now 2-2. Found out the other day that Trinity's coaching staff, they have 6 coaches on their coaching staff. Papik, a mighty cut, goes down on strikes, and that will be out number 1 here in the bottom of the 7th inning, and another pinch hitter coming to bat for the Bulldogs. It is number 16, Liam Hayworth.
6th strikeout, by the way, for Soroy. Correction, 7 strikeouts. Missed one there on the bottom.
So Hayworth hitting for Nate Duquette, 0-2, or 0 for 2, I should say. Nate was. He walked and scored in the 3rd. Book ended with a pair of strikeouts. Hayworth early on that one, and now he's in a hole, 0-2. Bulldogs trailing at 10-2 here in the bottom of the 7th inning, and fastball taken a little bit low makes it 1 ball, 2 strikes. Liam was a manager last year on the team, came out for the team, made the roster, and that pitch misses outside, count 2 balls, 2 strikes. And swings and misses, good hack, and that'll be 2 down now here in the bottom of the 7th inning, and the only thing standing between the Bulldogs and an 8-run loss is Jack Hinton. And Jack is 0 for 2 on today's game. Walked and drove in a run back in the 1st inning, to the extent that you can drive in a run when you walk. A run scored as a result of the walk. Watches one down low, 1-0.
I want to thank our sports underwriters, Primary Bank, the Wicks Insurance Group, Interim Healthcare of Manchester, Nelson Real Estate of New Hampshire, and Great New Hampshire Restaurants, including T-Bones and the Copper Door. They make these broadcasts possible.
2-0 now, the count on Jack Hinton as that curveball misses downstairs. For Sir Royce, shockingly enough, they have him at 90 pitches. I have him at 90 pitches, and Jack Hinton laces one into left field and will have himself his first hit of the day. 1 for 3 is Jack, and now Peter Suazo will come to bat. For the Bulldogs, that is hit number 5. And we will see how long of a leash they give Sir Royce. Of course, he's only got to get one more out, but got to figure he's fairly gassed at this point. Pitch down low to Suazo, 1-0. Suazo hit a home run last year at this park. I believe it was on senior night. Now the 1-0 taken for a strike. 1-1.
If he did hit one, he'd be fighting the wind.
Oh yeah, hitting one through the teeth of this wind, particularly in this park where the ball doesn't carry all that well, would be a taller order. But that day he absolutely crushed it, got it out of the left field wall. That one rolled right side, Centerino to his left, picks it up, and overhand throw to first base in time to retire Suazo for the 3rd out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. So the Bulldogs, after chasing a 1-0 deficit in the 1st, tied it up, and then it was pretty much all Trinity after that. The Pioneers wind up winning today's game by the score of 10-2. Winning pitcher of the game, Sir Royce. We don't know what his record will go to. The losing pitcher of the game is James Gilbert, and Gilbert will fall to, or Sir Royce improves to 1-0, and Gilbert will fall to 0-3 for the Bulldogs. Harry, losing my mind. I've talked too much. Anything you want to add before we send it out?
Nope. Just want to remind everybody to tune in tomorrow for boys lacrosse, Bishop Girton, 5:30 tomorrow at BHS Stadium. Corey Mustang will have the call. Our crew, Andrew Fenn back in the studio, Bill Jennings on camera. Lauren Fox, thank you for joining us. And your final score, 10-2, Pioneers win. You've been watching Bedford Baseball on BCTV.